going on, everybody? So today I'm going to tackle the wiring. It's the one thing I've been dreading ever since I started this build. I have ordered some parts. They're coming in from China, so it could take up to 3 months apparently to get them. I've ordered the integrated taillight LED strip for the rear brake setup, since I just want to get rid of the old or ugly regular bulb turn signals, and hopefully that'll be sufficient to pass the safety test. And then I'll try to hook up the integrated LED headlight turn signals in the headlight I bought. And I really want to get this done because then I know the rest of it could be fairly easy. It's just bolting parts on or getting parts made or creating parts to make sure they work. I've been really putting this off for a long time, so I want to just get this done. If I can't fix this and I can't solve this, I've already contacted JTech Moto in California. They said they would make an exception for me this time and they would actually do the wiring for me. I just have to send them everything. So I can't do that yet until I get the parts. So that's my plan B if I can't figure this out. I just want to apologize for the lack of build videos. I just have been really busy and I haven't been able to touch this yet. And a lot of it has to do with like trying to figure out how I'm going to do this. So I've been spending a lot of time researching and best way to attack this. So I did buy some wiring. I'm going to see if I can trace back some of the wiring. Okay, first things first is I'm going to trace back all this wiring I've already started taking apart here. I'm going to start peeling the tape back. I'm going to start with the back first because I remember those working, or I had them working. So I'll hook up the new turn signal switch, or maybe I'll just use the old one I had working already just to figure this out. And then I'll swap it over to the new R1 turn signal. So go ahead and just try to figure this out first, and I'll come back once I get that figured out. Once I get that figured out and I know what wire is what. And I'm also going to hook up the battery temporarily, obviously, so I can test this. So after messing with this for a couple hours, it was just way too hard to trace wires and try to work with the wiring on the bike. So I took everything out, and this is pretty much the entire harness. I did label everything so I know what connects to what. But now, looking at this, there's an obscene amount of cables and things I know I don't need anymore, so I keep them. There's a few things that are still on the bike. A few wires that are on the bike that remain, but those go into the actual like engine area. So those will stay in, but they clip on with clips. Now there are some things on here that I can probably take off, like there's oil temperature, I think. There's a cable that runs in there, and probably a couple other things. So I'll need to look at the manual I have that describes what wire is what, and then I can make the decision to eliminate them if needed. But for now, working with the harness out of the bike, I can actually properly lay this out and then start tracing some wires, and hopefully get this thing working, because there shouldn't be this many wires now. I got rid of that SciComm unit, which is like that laptop looking dashboard from the 80s. And then I can cut a lot of weight because it's a decent amount of weight for this stuff here. So hopefully this makes it go a lot easier, so I'll start working on that. I've gone ahead and started stripping the old electrical tape off the harness. I'm laying this out on the floor as if it was on the bike. Yeah, there's a lot of old wires in there that have been spliced, so I'm gonna have to clean that up. And then there are some pieces here that, like that stuff there, those clips. I'm not sure what they're for, and I think they're for the old SciComm unit, like the old laptop dashboard. So I'm gonna trace those back to see if I can remove them. And then I got the coils there. That's part of the computer thing, or at least I think it's the ECU. And then I've got the rectifier and a bunch of flasher relays. So it looks like every turn signal and on the back has its own relay, and then there's a few other ones I'm not sure what they are. I did find some hidden, really poorly done wiring stuff, like, I don't know if you can see that, but right there, that tube was wrapped in there and it was spliced and cut, and it taps into other stuff now that I highly doubt that's stock because it's so poorly done. So there's a lot to figure out here. And then you got the battery stuff over there. So got my work cut out here. I gotta get the manual at this point and start tracing wires back and see what I need and what I don't need. I'll get the headlight as well. And I'll use a stock brake light, which I don't have it here with me, but I'll hook that up so I can get it to work at least and have the license plate light working, the brake lights, and then the turn signals as well, so I kind of can get an idea of how this thing will work. I think I just have to hook up the battery and then start testing things. And I had a tiny bit of a breakthrough. I ended up taking all the black tape off the harness. I had to hook up the stuff on the bike just to make sure it was like whatever was not attached that I left on the bike wasn't actually causing it to not turn on. So now I've got it to go on. As you can see, I got power, which is good, but I don't know what signals is what, and I can't figure out why they're stuck on. That one works, the rear one doesn't. I did have it working like a minute ago. It has to do with something with the setup here from the new control switch to the original harness. I don't know what wire is what, so I think that's what's causing the issue. I was trying to follow this wiring diagram that I got online, which seemed to work, but then I kind of hit some roadblocks because it's not exactly the same colors or the same way that my current harness is. So I didn't want to start chopping wires just in case that wouldn't work for my scenario. I did find out why originally I had no power. There was no, there's these tiny little wires I just found that weren't hooked up. So one of them, the one with the alligator clip there, that one goes from the battery to whatever wire that is and is connected to the ignition switch. And there's a similar wire like that for the ground from the battery to somewhere in the harness. So that clip right there, that plastic clip, was also not hooked up, and that's why I had no power. But on the plus side, I'm not going to really start it, but look, I can do this. So I got power to the starter motor, which could in theory turn it over. I just need to figure out the electrical part of it now. So I'm still working on this, I haven't figured it out. When I do figure this out, like I said, I'll show you exactly how I did and what wires go where. I'm going to try to retain the stock harness for now, because overall, like once I took off all the tape, it actually looks pretty decent. It's just where it was messed around with near the headlight where it's a disaster. So I'm still going to try to work off of the diagram I got online, that colored one there, and then I also have the stock Haynes manual here with some nice colored wiring diagrams, and I'm going to see what I can eliminate from this, but it's pretty complex as you can see. So a lot of this stuff is basic, but then it goes into where the SciComm unit was, which is where I'm getting stuck. So all these wires here, I don't know if I can just close loop them or hardwire them to like whatever thing I'm trying to wire and see if it'll still work. So I'll come back when I figure this out. So I received my integrated taillight. It's just something I ordered off Amazon. I don't think that's the company name, but just like everything else that comes pretty much from China, there's generally no instructions. So this is it here. A flexible LED taillight that has the signals, brake light, and tail lights integrated. It's LED. So there's no instructions that came with this. So what I'm going to do, so what I need to figure out is what wire is what on the back of this. In order to find out what cable is what on the new taillight, the simplest way to do it is hook up a ground lead from your ground terminal on your battery to the black wire on the wiring harness that came with the light. And that's all I've done. Then I hooked up my test light to the positive post on the battery, and all I'm going to do now is just go ahead and touch each other wire here, and I I can find out which is what. This is how I'm going to want the taillight to be mounted on the back of the subframe. So I'm just going to start testing each wire. So I'm going to do the red one first. Okay, so that's really bright. So I'm going to assume that's the brake light. Next one is this green one. It looks like the right turn signal. These are really bright, by the way. Okay, so the white one might be the tail light. Let's just compare it here. So white, it's on, and then the red. Okay, so red is brake light because it's a lot brighter than the white. So the white one would be the tail light, and then this will be the left tail light. So left tail light, right signal, brake light. So it's pretty simple.